Most people grow older, but they never grow freer. They still need noise to feel alive, approval to feel enough, answers before they take the next step. After 60, something begins to separate you from the crowd. You no longer need to win every argument. You stop mourning the life you never lived. An ordinary, peaceful day starts to feel like success. These are not small changes. They are 12 signs that you are ahead of most people, not in money, status, or attention, but in the freedom to finally live as yourself. Let's see how many you recognize. You do not feel the need to fill every empty space. If silence no longer feels like something you need to escape, you are already changing. Most people reach for noise before their own mind has a chance to speak. One day, something changes. You stop treating every empty moment like a problem waiting to be solved. Instead, you let it remain empty. You sit with a cup of coffee growing cold beside you. You watch the last light disappear from the sky. You hear the rain against the window instead of another opinion on a screen. At first, nothing seems to happen. Then something remarkable does. Your own mind finally has enough room to speak. Many of life's clearest answers never arrive while you are chasing them. They appear while washing the dishes, while sitting on a balcony after sunset, while driving home with the radio turned off. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter retreat than in his own mind." That is why people who are comfortable in silence are much harder to manipulate. Boredom no longer controls them. Pressure no longer rushes them. Wherever they are, they never feel abandoned. While most people still need constant noise to escape themselves, you have taken the first step home. You begin to protect quiet days. One sign that you are further ahead in life is that an uneventful day no longer feels empty. No crisis, no drama, no urgent phone call. Just a quiet morning that asks nothing from you. For years, you were taught that a meaningful life had to be exciting. But the days worth protecting are often the ones that leave nothing to recover from. One quiet Tuesday suddenly feels richer than your busiest year ever did. Then another realization arrives. Peace did not become more exciting. You simply stopped mistaking it for boredom. The life you once feared becoming quiet, predictable, uneventful slowly becomes the life you are most afraid to lose. And perhaps the strangest part is that nothing about that Tuesday changed. Only the part of you that believed happiness always had to be somewhere else. That is when a day with nothing special becomes extraordinary. You stop asking a day to impress you. You start noticing what it was already giving you. You give your full attention to what matters. After 60, attention becomes one of the few things you can never recover once it is given away. Your granddaughter holds up a drawing she made for you. You smile and tell her it is beautiful. Then she asks which part you like most, and you realize you never truly looked at it. You were in the room, but your attention was somewhere else. Later that evening, you sit beside an open window with a cup of tea. The tea has gone cool. A breeze moves the curtain. For once, your phone stays face down beside you. You notice the taste of the last sip before it is gone. You notice the room becoming quiet. These are the moments people often rush past without knowing they were there. Attention is what turns an ordinary minute into a life you actually remember. When you can give your full attention to a person, a conversation, or an ordinary moment, you possess something increasingly rare. You stop needing to have the last word. One of the clearest signs of freedom is leaving a disagreement while knowing you were right. Most people would rather protect their pride than protect their peace. Someone questions your choices. Someone tells a story about you that is not true. Every instinct tells you to explain yourself one more time. You believe the next sentence will finally make them understand. It almost never does. People rarely remember your explanation. They remember the version they already wanted to believe. Their opinion may never change. You only decide whether it deserves another hour of your peace. One careless comment steals an entire afternoon. His name was Daniel. At 68, he spent 3 days rewriting a message to his younger brother. He wanted to prove he had been right about something that happened 20 years earlier. He never sent it. A week later, they met for lunch. His brother never mentioned the argument. They talked about their grandchildren instead. Driving home, Daniel realized something that surprised him. He had almost traded a peaceful afternoon for a victory that no longer mattered. Sometimes the victory you are chasing exists only in your own mind. Real freedom begins when being misunderstood no longer feels like an emergency. Every battle you no longer need to fight brings you one step closer to yourself. You do not absorb everyone else's emotions. Sometimes you end the day exhausted because you have been carrying an emotion that was never yours. Your daughter hangs up the phone, still worried. 2 hours later, you are the one lying awake replaying the conversation. It can look like compassion, but it is often fear disguised as love. Perhaps you've mistaken carrying someone for loving them. You replay their problems all night. They wake up the next morning exactly where they were. Nothing in their life changed. Only your peace disappeared. That is the first difficult truth. Your suffering never reduced theirs. It only created 2 people in pain instead of 1. You can offer wisdom, but you cannot carry another person's inner life for them. One day, you begin noticing something remarkable. You can listen without carrying the conversation home. You can comfort someone without allowing their fear to settle inside you. While most people get pulled under by emotions that are not theirs, the calmer you remain, the more helpful you actually become. You stop carrying the world. You begin carrying yourself. If this gave a name to something you have been carrying, leave a like. You no longer need every decision to make sense to everyone. A man in his late 60s decided to sell the family house after his wife died. The garden was too much to manage. The rooms had become too large for one person. His children were not worried about the money. They were afraid that selling the house would feel like letting their mother go. For months, he delayed the sale because he could not make the decision make sense to everyone. Then he understood something painful. Keeping a house he could no longer care for would not keep her close. How many decisions have you delayed because you were waiting for approval from people who would never have to live with the consequences? You believe the right words will finally change their minds. They rarely do. People see your life through their own fears, memories, and expectations. The day you stop defending every choice, something inside you becomes quieter. Not because everyone suddenly agrees, because you no longer need them to. The audience may still have opinions, but it no longer owns your life. You stop postponing a life that other people will never have to live. Have you ever made a choice that made sense to you but not to everyone else? Leave a few words below. You stop mistaking stillness for failure. The moment you compare your quiet life to someone else's highlights, you begin to believe you are falling behind. But no one shows you the confusion behind the picture. Life follows a quieter rhythm than the world wants you to believe. Seeds disappear into darkness long before they ever reach the light. Then one day, they break through the soil. Everyone calls it an overnight success. After retiring, Raymond felt guilty whenever an afternoon passed without proving he was still useful. He kept finding small chores, not because they mattered, but because he needed proof that the day had not been wasted. One afternoon, a neighbor saw him sitting on his porch and laughed. "I don't know how you can sit there doing nothing." Raymond smiled. "It only looks like nothing if you think every day has to prove its worth." For the first time, Raymond stopped mistaking stillness for failure. He saw it as the place where deeper growth had finally begun. The world may call your peaceful season wasted because it cannot measure what is changing inside you. That does not make it true. You do not need immediate answers. Uncertainty is not what keeps people stuck. The belief that they need certainty before taking the next step is. At 70, Anthony accepted an invitation that quietly changed the rest of his life. A relative asked him to spend a week in a quiet village. There were no shopping centers, no modern clinics around the corner, no busy streets, only silence. When the week ended, Anthony surprised everyone. "I think I want to live here." His family immediately objected. "What if your health gets worse? What if you need us? What if you regret it?" Anthony looked at them and quietly admitted something. "I do not know what my health will ask of me next year. I only know I do not want fear to decide every remaining year for me." So Anthony packed his belongings and moved. The first few months were harder than he expected. Sometimes, he wondered if his family had been right. A year later, the city man had become a country old man who woke each morning with a smile. Anthony never knew what the future would bring. Neither did Marcus Aurelius. That is why he reminded himself, do not disturb yourself by thinking of your whole life at once, not the entire road, not every possible outcome, only the next step. You stop demanding that the future reveal itself before you are willing to move. The people who appear fearless are rarely more certain than anyone else. They are simply ahead of most people because they learn to keep walking before the entire path is visible. Courage rarely arrives first. Coming home to yourself is never a single decision. It happens one honest step at a time. You stop mourning the life you never lived. There is a grief that almost nobody talks about. Regret often disguises itself as a road you never took. But what you miss is rarely the road itself. It is the perfect life you imagined waiting at the end of it. For years, a man wondered what would have happened if he had accepted a job in another country. In his mind, that life was always happier. More money, more freedom, a bigger house. But he never imagined his marriage growing distant. He never imagined becoming a stranger in the place he once called home. The life he envied never had to reveal its hidden price. Every road asks for something. The roads we never took simply never had the chance to show us what they would have taken from us. That is when regret begins to lose its authority. Your attention returns to the only life that can still grow, not the one you imagined, the one you are living. You stop mourning the person you never became. You begin honoring the person life has been shaping all along. Your past does not become perfect, but it no longer decides your future. From this moment on, the life in front of you becomes enough. You choose truth over ego. When his son stopped visiting, he finally understood what needing to be right had cost him. For years, he had believed that apologizing first meant losing. There had been no shouting, no dramatic argument, only years of conversations where someone always had to be right. One evening, he looked around his quiet house. For the first time, winning every argument no longer felt like a victory. It felt expensive. The next morning, he picked up the phone. When his son answered, he remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said something he had never imagined saying. "I was wrong. Time seemed to stand still." Then his son quietly replied, "I've been waiting to hear those words for years." He would later say that those 3 words gave him more peace than 30 years of defending himself ever had. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If anyone can refute me and show me I am mistaken, I shall gladly change. For I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." That is what wisdom looks like. It is not refusing to change. It is refusing to let your pride stand between you and the truth. The ego whispers, "Protect your image." Wisdom asks, "What has protecting it actually cost you?" The moment your identity no longer depends on winning, every conversation becomes lighter, every disagreement becomes an opportunity to learn, and every new truth becomes another step toward freedom. You no longer feel the need to leave a lasting impression. Years from now, your grandson probably won't remember what car you drove. He won't remember your job title. He won't remember how many people admired you. But he may remember sitting beside you on a quiet afternoon, the way you listened without looking at your phone, the way you laughed at his stories, the way he always felt safe when you were there. That is how most lasting impressions are made. Not through achievement, through presence. For much of life, we believe we are being remembered for what we accomplish. That belief quietly shapes the way we speak. You wake up one morning and realize you no longer need every conversation to prove your worth. You stop measuring yourself through other people's opinions. Whether someone admires you today or forgets you tomorrow quietly loses its importance. You simply arrive as yourself. While most people are still trying to impress, that is when people begin trusting you the most. What outlives achievement is not what you made of yourself, but how safe people felt beside you. A quiet meal, an unhurried conversation, or a hand held at the right time can outlast every title you ever earned. Your peace no longer depends on the impression you made. It depends on whether you remained faithful to your own values. Many lives are spent trying to become unforgettable. Ironically, the people who stop trying to impress others are often remembered the longest. If someone came to mind while you listened, share this with them. The world no longer decides whether today is a good day. The final sign is not that life becomes easier. It is that life can no longer decide whether you are allowed to have a good day. Perhaps you've mistaken conditions for a good life. Happiness keeps moving because you keep moving the finish line. I'll be peaceful when my children understand me. I'll enjoy life when my health improves. I'll finally relax when everything settles down. For years, the finish line stays one step ahead of you. Every time one condition is fulfilled, life quietly creates another. One day you realize something astonishing. For years, you have handed your right to have a good day to people, pain, weather, headlines, and circumstances. One rainy morning, you sit quietly with a cup of coffee. Your knees ache before your feet even touch the floor. Your body asks for more rest than it once did. Some things now take longer. Some things you once did without thinking now require care. Stoicism does not ask you to pretend that none of this hurts. It asks you to stop fighting the fact that your body is changing. You care for it. You adapt to it. But you do not let every ache convince you that life has become smaller. For the first time, you are not waiting for your body to become younger before allowing yourself to enjoy the day. Bad days no longer convince you that you are broken. Headlines still arrive. Your body still grows older, but none of them gets the final vote anymore. You do. That is when you realize the world never had the authority to decide whether today was worth living. Not a life without hardship. A life where hardship no longer has the final word. That is what coming home to yourself looks like. If these 12 signs felt familiar, you are already ahead of most people. Not because life has been easier for you. Not because you have solved every problem, but because you no longer need the world to give you permission to live well. That is a kind of success no title, paycheck, or applause can give you. If one of these signs stayed with you, leave a few words below. And if this quiet reminder brought you a little peace, share it with someone who may be finding their way back to themselves too. If these reflections help you live with a little more clarity, subscribe to Move or Die Stoic. You are not falling behind. You may finally be learning how to live.